John Basile, and Kevin Katowski. Introduction 1012A, sponsored by Councilmember Amanda Farias, would require the Department of City Planning and the Department of Small Business Services, in coordination with the Economic Development Corporation, to develop a citywide industrial development strategic plan. The plan is required to be completed every 8 years and must include an overview of city policies to support and grow the industrial sector, an analysis of sector economic trends, and the role of industrial businesses to transition to green energy. I first proposed such a policy in my State of the City address because industrial jobs offer family-sustaining wages and do not require a college degree, making the sector a leading pathway for equitable economic mobility. They are also critical to help our city transition to green energy. However, our city has lacked a cohesive strategy to cultivate industrial business growth, which has hampered their ability to thrive. With the passage of this legislation, our city can properly invest in the industrial sector, unlocking doors of opportunity for New Yorkers and creating pathways for success. Councilmember Farias turned the idea into concrete legislation and carried it forward. We thank our staff members, Brian Paul, Alex Polinoff, and William Hanga. Finally, we will be voting on Introduction 1031A, my Fair Housing Framework legislation, that will help in the efforts to address our city's housing crisis through the lens of equity. The bill would require city agencies to create and submit a fair housing assessment and plan every 5 years. The assessment would include a citywide fair housing plan that would be coordinated with the requirements of the Federal Fair Housing Act. Following this, the city would produce an assessment of long-term citywide housing needs, 5-year housing production targets for each local community district level, and a strategic equity framework that would report on the progress made towards the housing targets, as well as the obstacles and strategies for achieving them. The plan would also focus on the production and preservation of affordable housing, anti-displacement resources, and neighborhood investments for underserved communities. The city would produce annual reports on its progress. This legislation will help our city's efforts to stem the housing crisis by facilitating increased housing production that is equitable and focused on the needs of all New Yorkers by building and preserving more affordable housing and identifying the investments needed to promote opportunity and accountability that help us address the housing crisis with clarity about the obligations and needs of every community district. We need every neighborhood to do its fair share to confront the city's housing crisis. Through our collective efforts, we can invest holistically in the strength of our neighborhoods and successfully address the housing crisis. I am so proud to advance legislation that prioritizes equity and housing production, which represents the Council's continued commitment to confront the city's housing crisis. At the end of the day, the legislation is about building more housing and uplifting New Yorkers to give working families across all 5 boroughs a real chance at building their legacy in this city. This is the reality that New Yorkers deserve, and one that the